Hello everybody and welcome back. In my previous video I had left off just after sabotaging the bandit robbery attempt, and I still have a little bit time left in the night, so I'm going to try and do the injured Chimera hunting quest with these guys right here. So you just gotta wait a little bit, eventually around I think 1 a.m., 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. the option becomes available to join them. So I'm just going to do a little bit of inventory management. This is going to be kind of a longer video. It's clocks in almost at 40 minutes. There is a lot of times that I come back to the STALKER and do some inventory management, so I'm going to put links up during that time if you guys kind of wanted to skip ahead to the good parts. Right now I think I have some time to kill before the option to go with them on the hunt starts. So I'm just kind of taking a look at my storage and if I have anything I could sell. I'm still lacking a helmet. I have a pretty decent shotgun and a pistol and some body armor. And at this point in the game, that's about it. By the end of this video, I'm going to be pretty much fully equipped for the first zone. The only thing that I lack is going to be probably the scientific suit. So that's good news. It really helps a lot just to have a good, decent helmet, decent armor, and decent weapons. If you have those, the first zone pretty much becomes no problem. It was just a huge struggle up to this point to get even that far. I have quite a bit of extra medicines that I probably don't need. In fact, I hardly ever use those things, with the exception of maybe Psyblock. That comes in handy against certain more advanced monsters that you run into later, such as the controller and the poltergeist. Actually, two of the most frustrating enemies in the game, I would say. Especially a lot later once we get into Lab X8. There's a poltergeist in there that's kind of hidden up in this alcove up at the very top of the level. And as soon as you come in, he starts, I guess, attacking you with his side missions. And your health just kind of drains away just super fast. And there's almost no helping it. You have to pretty much have a lot of good side block already through your equipment. You gotta take some side blocking pills, and then you just gotta run up to the very top of the level and take them out as quickly as you can. So it's one of the few times that these medicines actually come in handy. If you're selling medicine, it's probably best to sell it to the medic. He'll give you the best price for them. My previous playthrough, I used to stockpile, consumables, ammo, medicine. And when I'm talking about medicine, I mean specifically pills and not anything that would heal you or like epinephrine shots or anything like that. Um, but it's really not necessary. You don't use it that much. And honestly, you don't vary between too many weapons that much to need to stockpile ammo either. You just need your very few specific types of ammo, and that's it. Here you can see my vision starting to blur a little bit, meaning that I am getting tired and need rest. One of the more useful types of medicine, and one that you don't actually get that often, are those glucose shots. And those are useful because when you use stim packs and when you use, for instance, your morphine, or any other type of emergency use medicine, it actually increases your hunger by a significant margin. And with those glucose shots, you could just, instead of having to go hide somewhere and eat, you could just kind of hit one of your F keys and you use a glucose shot, and it's almost an immediate decrease of hunger. The downside is that they make you tired. So if you're getting shot up and you're using plenty of stim packs and plenty of glucose shots, you're going to probably need to go take a nap almost immediately.
Подойти надо незаметно.
So here we are. I've turned the sound back on since we left the skid off. And it really helps hunting when you got stalkers with you. It makes it so much more easier. The mutants become much less of a threat. But they're not always around. This is sort of a scripted battle too, so it just makes it all that much more
сразу
easier.
бейте в голову. Близко подходить нельзя. Нюху Химеры что надо. Он и во сне на полную работает.
I'm gonna walk around and grab a couple of the stashes that I remember being around. There may be one or two more that I missed. This one right here is kind of a pain in the ass to get everything. You just kind of got to keep moving back and forth and moving around, and eventually you'll get all the items. And I'm hearing far off gunshots and fighting, but it's not affected these guys. Sometimes you spawn here to go hunt the Chimera and there's already mutants around. And that can be kind of a pain because they'll get distracted, they'll start shooting the mutants.
Ну что, привет тебе от краба.
Best to come here while it's empty.
Возвращаемся.
See, that
А ты не
wasn't too
забудь
bad.
заглянуть к зверобою на Янове. Скажешь ему, что раненая Химера склеила ласты.
Make sure you
И
loot them.
долю свою получишь.
Chimeras always seem to have quite a bit of lootable items. So you can make actually a lot of good money fighting them, even though it takes a lot of your ammo. Best way to go big game hunting in this game, getting chimeras, getting pseudo giants, is actually to have a assault rifle with a grenade launcher on it, and to use a couple of those grenades to take them down. It's probably the easiest and most cost-effective way of doing it.
Привет, брат.
So as you can see, I received a shotgun and a little bit of money. The shotgun is actually going to be much more useful than the one I currently have, the sawed-off. It's actually a double-barrel, full-length, over and under shotgun. Now there is, actually, from what I remember, there is a stash up here in one of these holes in the ceiling. But for whatever reason, I can't find it, and I get kind of brain locked on it, and I know it's up here somewhere, I just can't find it for whatever reason. and it sort of drives me nuts, and I get stuck on it. I'll put a link up to this if you guys want to skip this part, because I spend a good maybe 2 or 3 minutes trying to find it, and I just totally unsuccessful. I did get it in my first playthrough, and I just have no idea why I can't find it on this one. So I'll save here. As you can see, sunlight is kind of creeping out. It's like dawn is coming. And I believe this is still, if I remember right, this is still the first day of starting the game. I don't think I've slept yet. So even though as you're picking a class, it says that the assault class needs sleep most often, you could still go for pretty much a 24-hour stretch without sleeping. Maybe getting a little bit of blurred screen, and I don't think I've even yawned yet. Also, I don't know if you guys noticed right there or not, but as I looted that corpse, it actually had a meat chunk on it, which is one of the quest items that I will need going into the next zone, Jupiter. So I lucked out quite a bit finding that, because there's some playthroughs I've done in this game where finding a meat chunk is next to impossible. I think in this playthrough I find way more than I actually need, so it's kind of weird. It's one of the few artifacts that you can't really buy from one of the vendors. And I went ahead and muted the sound once I'm back on the ship. So you'll need a meat chunk and a I don't know how to pronounce it, a Koblock type artifact, and you give that to a guy in the next zone, and basically it's just to free him from his contract that he has with the scientist. And sometimes they're hard to find, and sometimes you find them very easily, like I have in this playthrough. I'm just gonna smoke a cigarette here to get rid of the radiation poisoning. And I'm going to do some inventory management, so I'll throw the link up so you guys could skip this part if you wish. Otherwise, if you want to stay and see what I sell and what I buy, I believe at this point I buy a helmet finally. So that's definitely something you want to do if you have the money for it. Right now I'm at about 56,000, it looks like. 56,000 rubles. And so you can see there the helmet's going to cost me about 49k. Sometimes it's cheaper to buy stuff from Beard, sometimes it's cheaper to buy stuff from Owl. So I go up here to Owl and see if he has the same thing for cheaper. And he does, actually. It's about 47.5K. Being that I have pretty decent weapons already, knife isn't something I'm going to need going forward. Um, I know this is one of the few games that you actually just don't automatically have the knife. It's actually part of your equipment. And I can't remember if it's like that in vanilla CoP or not, but I know for sure in the other Stalker games you don't actually carry your knife with you as an item. And there we go, one step closer to being fully equipped. One thing I didn't notice until now is that for some reason I'm carrying the Chimera hide in one of my slots, which it probably would have been better for me just to sell that, but maybe I didn't notice I had it. As you can see, it's totally not worth trying to upgrade a corroded weapon, or an old weapon, or a damaged weapon. And if you're deciding between two weapons to sell, you want to keep one and you want to sell the other, go and check the upgrade trees first. Not all weapons that aren't corroded or rusted or old have full upgrade trees. Some of them will have the last options sort of grayed out and unavailable. Forgot to sell my pistol. Might be a good idea to keep a crowbar and a hammer because they're reusable repair upgrades for certain repair kits. Then again, if I use something for a repair kit to supplement, I usually pick cloth or just something very cheap and very easily available from one of the vendors. Cloth sheet or the textile sheet or something like that. So I've completed day one of the Black Road, and I'm gonna sleep here and then we'll continue into the new day. I would say you'd only need about 6 hours of sleep. You may need even less than that, I'm not sure. And I'm not sure if the more sleep you get, the more delay there is between the next time you get tired. But I just do 6 hours usually by default, at least. Alright, so the next part of my journey is going to be getting the one thing I'm still missing from my loadout, which is a medium to long range weapon, probably an assault rifle. So that's what I'm going to go get right now. And luckily there's one available on this map for free, and I'm going to show you guys where that is.
Привет, брат! Ну, привет! Привет, брат! Слушаю тебя!
Not really sure why I come the long way around. Maybe I had loaded the game and tried to do a straight shot to the gas station, but ended up dying because of bandits or mutants or something. But here I'm kind of going the long way around. My new shotgun. I notice mutants love to double back and attack you while you're skinning or looting other mutants. It's pretty annoying. It's best to wait till the coast is very, very clear, or you've killed all of the mutants around you, and then that's when you go around and start looting the bodies. Because it may look like they're running away, but as soon as you start looting something, they're going to double back and attack you. Boy, I'm really zigzagging through this map. Fortunately, I recorded this, oh, I'd say maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, so there may be some things I do that I can't recall off the top of my head the purpose of, which kinda sucks, I know, and I apologize, but it's just much easier to play through and record this than it is to do the commentary, to do some editing and rendering, and then of course it takes at least 2 or 3 hours, for me at least, to upload to YouTube. I don't have the fastest internet connection. I have a decent speed download, but very kind of mediocre speed upload. And these files, after they've been rendered, are at least a couple gigabytes. So it can take quite a bit of time. Now the back area of this gas station is where I want to be. This fenced-in part, with the gas tank, or propane tank, or whatever that is. So you'll notice some editing tricks there. It took me quite a long time to figure out how to do this jump, so I actually reloaded several times, and unfortunately when you reload too much, sometimes the weather randomly changes. As you can see, it's even going to take me a few attempts to do it here. It's a lot easier to do this with Recon or Sniper class because they have a little bit of a higher jump. And I know it's not impossible for the Assaulter class, it's just a lot more difficult. I've been more successful trying to jump from that shack than I do from this tank. But I think it's also possible to do it from here. Another reason I don't like it is because if you miss, it actually damages you a little bit based on your height. So there we go. Success. And that is what I'm looking for right there. As you can see, it's a fully conditioned, customized AKM, and that's going to come in really handy. That's going to be probably your first actual real weapon in the game, and with this in our hands we could probably actually face decent bandit groups and gangs and a lot of the other more difficult enemies. The only downside, I think, is that for the AKM, that the ammo is a little bit more expensive. At least in comparison to like pistol ammo and shotgun ammo. Might actually fall somewhere between 545 and 556 ammo. So I'm making a run for the Skadoffs because I believe I picked up a artifact, and I don't have artifact container yet. So before I die of radiation, I better hightail it back. And here I am back at the Skadoffs, and I've muted the sound again. Pretty much at this point, if you don't want to see my inventory management, you could probably go ahead and start on the next video, because I stay here on the Skadoffs buying and selling things pretty much to the end of this video. But if you'd like, you're welcome to stay and see what I do, what I sell, what I buy, as always. But if not, I thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. It's always good to keep some water or Beard's tea or cigarettes, or some of those tablets that purify water. I forget what they're called off the top of my head, but it's always good to keep some of those handy, just for those times where you're carrying an artifact with no protection and you get a little bit of radiation. I noticed environmental radiation in this game has been significantly improved. It's a lot harder to get radiated just based on where you are in the environment. There's only a few spots that have such high radiation where you will get accumulated radiation sickness. And especially with the helmet I have, the one that's good for anomalies and for artifact hunting, that will actually protect you quite a bit from psi emissions and from radiation. So that's the main reason I picked it. There's other helmets available that have a little bit more armor, but I just like the fact of not having to worry about psi emissions, not having to worry about environmental damage and radiation with the one that I chose. No longer need the pistol or its ammo. Pretty much your weapons of choice is going to be a shotgun in one slot and an assault rifle in the other. You have those two things, you're pretty much prepared for anything. I have some grenades, but no grenade launcher for my rifle. And no scope, which is probably two of the more important attachments that you can get. I also use silencers quite a bit, but I'm just not 100% sure how effective they are, and if they decrease your damage and your accuracy. So that may be one attachment that you don't really need. Stealth fighting in Misery is actually very tough. The enemies are very smart, very reactive. There are times where I've tried to do the take out the mercenaries mission in this map, where there's about anywhere from 10 to 20 of those guys walking around the complex. And that one, it's probably better to try to pick off from a distance as many as you can without alerting the whole base, but it is extremely hard. Just trying to use the silencer for stealth probably isn't worth the headache, at least in my opinion. Here I'm trying to price and judge for artifact modules. I do have a fireball. If you're going to keep any artifacts, you'd probably best keep the fireball artifacts, and you don't need the most expensive artifact container for it. There's, I guess, 3 levels of artifact containers. There's the improvised, there's the middle ground one called, I think, just the AAC. And then there's a special, more advanced one, and I don't remember the name of it. It might be like Modern AAC or something like that. But that one is only necessary for the stronger, more expensive artifacts, which I don't even really use. The only one that I think is necessary to keep is the fireball, and that's because it has the armor equivalent of about 54 Kevlar sheets, which is actually much more than the steel armor plating that you could buy from these vendors. The only drawback is it's much heavier to keep equipped on you. But in a game like this, you pretty much need all the protection, all the armor you can get. Okay, so I'm going to stop the video here, and if you guys watched this far, thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next video.